Good afternoon from this end, and from your end, it's good morning still.
Yes.
A warm welcome to all of you, and I am sending all of you some warm sunlight and the blue turquoise water, and the white sand and the mountains from this beautiful island of St. Martin. I know your end, it must be a bit chilly, so please accept the warm sunshine of the Caribbean. Yes, so last time I was talking about two values, and they're all in the package of living values. And it's interesting we talked about living values, because recapping on what I said last week, values can't be taught. It can be caught. You can't define values because it all depends on your experience and your perception. But you can display values. You can express values. And today, when we're going to address the power to accommodate and power to cooperate, one of the beauty of the teachings of the Brahma Kumaris World Spiritual University is that we teach what one would want to describe as applied spirituality. Applied spirituality, or value-based virtues. It's the awareness that makes an action ordinary or elevated. So if an action is done with a value in mind, cooperation, accommodation, generosity, mercy, any action that is value-based changes the action from an ordinary mundane action and make it an elevated action. And this is why one of the insight of spirituality is that we're not performing action in any way limited. Sometimes if we belong to Christianity, for example, or we belong to Islam, for example, or we associate with that specific religion, we talk about Christian values, Hindu values, Muslim values. If we consider ourselves to be Indian, or we consider ourselves African, we talk about our Hindu values, or our Indian values, or our African values. So even though we are practicing value, it still can go into the category of limited values. But when you practice spirituality, you're rising above all man-made barriers of color, creed, race, religion, nationality, age, gender. We rise above anything that limits us, anything that divides us, and we move to a level of understanding that one, we are all souls, spiritual beings. And as a spiritual being, it has nothing to do with the color of my skin, or my nationality, or my status, or my position. Absolutely no connection between I and the body, the vehicle, the costume I use. So let me share one aspect at the start of today's presentation to put everything into context. We call ourselves human beings. So there's a human aspect of us, and there's the being aspect. In every human structure, every human body, there is a being, a soul. So the soul uses its body to play its variety of roles. So before the soul adopts a body, the soul exists. Soul is separate from the body. But the moment we enter a body, we call ourselves human being or living being. And when we do that, we started to identify with our body. So they call me, when the soul enter the mother's womb, at that time, there was no name given to that baby. But the moment the baby takes birth, then that baby, if it enters a gender of female gender or male gender, we say it's a girl baby and a boy baby. And then that baby is christened and given a name. So my bodily name is Devki. But long before I entered this body I'm using currently, and long after I leave this body, I was in existence and I will continue to exist. And that is why when someone passed away, we don't say we're going to view Mistress so-and-so or Mr. so-and-so or John or Mary, or we don't say that. We say we're going to view the body. We're going to cremate the body. We're going to bury the body. We found the body. We're taking the body to the crematorium. They don't call that person by the name anymore. So that name is associated when the soul is in the body. Think about it. And so when we start to identify with gender, the color of our skin, that is our color, our creed, our religion, our nationality, all of that limits us. But when we practice spirituality, we rise above the consciousness of the body. When we can do that, we can begin to see everyone as equal, everyone as a part of the brotherhood of mankind, everyone as children of God. That's when equality takes its rightful place in society. So one of the things about spirituality, it makes us to become conscious, aware, and awake. Conscious, aware, and awake. And when we are conscious, our action, our behavior, everything changes, and it becomes very, very elevated, depending if the consciousness is body consciousness or soul consciousness. When I was doing this Living Values program in schools, I recall that one of the exercises I used to do with children, I will give them in the class, I will pass a pen to one of the students, a pen or a pencil. And I will say to them, pass this pencil around to everyone. So obviously, as kids, they're having fun. Some will throw the pencil, some will make fun, but they will pass the pencil or pen. And eventually the pencil or pen will get back in my hands. And then I will say to them, now, I want you to pass this pen once more to the person next to you, and it must go wrong and come back to me. But this time, I want you to pass this pen with respect. It was so interesting to see the difference in their whole attitude. They will turn around, they will look at the person, some will bow their head, acknowledging, some will smile, but the gesture of passing the pen takes on such an incredible difference than when I ask them, just pass this pen around. So this is what I mean when I talk about applied spirituality. This is what I mean when I say a value-based action. This is what I mean when I say conscious, aware, awake. And when you do an action, being aware, not just the action that you're doing, but the far-reaching effect of that action. Be aware of what is the intention of performing this action. What is my intention to do it? And then what will be the outcome of this action? So like Newton's law is saying, every action has an equal or opposite reaction. As you sow, so shall you reap. As you make your bed, so will you lie on it. There's no action without a cause, and there's no cause without an effect. So the law of effect and cause, action and reaction. So this is what is called value-based behavior, value-based action, or being conscious before performing action. When you think about it, three things determine an action. The first thing is, let's say, for example, I'm going to tell my boss, report to my boss something I had seen, an action relating to another worker. I saw that worker taking something that belongs to the company. And I'm going to report this to the manager. But my motive for reporting is that I want to highlight the weakness of my colleague. It could be with the purest of intention too. So either I want to bring to my boss to inform him about what's happening. So the intention could be based on honesty and truth. But truth has three aspects to consider. One is, what is my motive for telling the truth? If my intention or motive is to highlight the weakness of someone or to put that one down so that I can appear in a better light in the presence of my boss. So the motive has to be based on truth. The second aspect, they say it's not what you say, but how you say, the manner in which I tell the truth. Sometimes we tell the truth and we say it's as if my way or the highway. So the manner has to be correct. And finally, you have to tell the truth, but ensure that your action does not add fuel to fire. Find the right moment to tell the truth. It's like somebody is not eating properly, healthily, and you've been drawing the attention to that person that you're not eating healthy. You should be making more healthy choices. And that person didn't bother with you, but the person ultimately become ill. And at that time, when that person's ill, you go to visit that person and said, I told you so. Why didn't you listen to me? So would that person take your advice or would that person become defensive? Who knows? But if you help that person to feel better, and when that person is well again, and you say to that person, now, how are you feeling now? See, you're feeling so much better. How were you feeling a day or two ago? Now, can you see the difference between making more healthy choice? So the motive of every action, the intention behind every action, the manner in which we share or do that action, and finding the right timing to carry out that action. And so intention create a certain attitude. If my intention is clean, honest, pure, unconditional, what kind of attitude I will have? And based on my attitude, what kind of actions would I perform? And based on my action, what kind of vibrations I will create? See the connection between intention, attitude, action, vibration. So sometimes today is something, it's so quite interesting that when I start this journey of spirituality actually 38 years ago, when I started, we never used to talk about energy. It's something, the word existed, but it never took on the meaning it is taking on today. People talk, I don't like his energy. I don't like her energy. I can feel the energy in that room. today we are more conscious about vibration. So we hear these words, energy and vibes. It's not something I heard much about, very little, almost non-existent when I started this journey some 4 decades ago. So now we are catching on that vibrations matter. We are catching on that energy gets transmitted. We are catching on that when you enter a house, or you enter an office, or you're in the company of certain type of people, you are conscious that there are vibes that is transmitted into the atmosphere. So today our world is charged with negativity. And it is being transmitted by all of us. All of us. From the moment we wake up, we can feel in this atmosphere. See, this is why as a BK from the organization, we wake up way early. I'm so tired. I need to sleep a little bit more. I'm late. I don't know what to cook. I don't know what mood my boss will be in today. I this, I that. And those thought energy gets transmitted in the atmosphere. And people are waking up to embrace that kind of energy. So that is just a prelude of the subject, power to accommodate. Now, accommodation is a word that we could also use by saying power to adjust. And a very graphic example that I want to give in discussing this topic is when you see the ocean welcomes, accommodates, and adjusts all the rivers that flows into it. And some rivers are carrying salty water, some murky water, muddy water, some sweet water. In Guyana, we have sweetwater lake and we have saltwater lake. Isn't that interesting? And sometimes the water is murky, some areas. Sometimes we say it's the black water lake. So depending on the water and the garbage that is thrown in the rivers today, and all of that is dumped ultimately into the ocean. What does the ocean do? Does it discriminate? Does it choose? No, I don't want water with garbage. I don't want water that is salty. The ocean accommodates all kinds of water. And then, whatever is of value, the ocean takes it deep within itself. It's like it says all the gems, all the pearls, all the rubies are safely kept at the bottom of the ocean. And all the garbage and all the shells are gently separated and thrown back onto the shore. So the ability to take what is meaningful, what is of value, what is intended to add beauty to my existence, is what the ocean takes and stores at the bottom of at the bed of the ocean. And at the surface of the ocean, you see shells and garbage. So in the same way, we have the ability to separate pearls from shells, to separate that which is not useful for us. So what do we do? What do we do when somebody throws their garbage at us? And when I say garbage, means they are in a very bad mood. They're disturbed. And they're disturbed because at that moment, they are under one of their weakness. And don't we all come under one of our weakness so very often? And when I am not in a good mood because I am angry, at that moment of time, without even being aware that I am under an influence of one of my own weakness. But you, my sister or brother or best friend or colleague, I hope you are going to accept me the way I am. I cannot handle if you reject me at that time because I'm already under an influence of my own weakness. So what should I be given by the people who loves me? I'm hoping they will hug me. They will embrace me. They will say, it's okay. Be yourself. We understand. We also go there sometimes. So don't worry. It's okay. It's okay. It's going to be all right. So we want people to accept us the way we are. And don't judge us because we are in a bad mood for an hour or two. And don't end a friendship with us that we have built with you for so long. We hope you will accept me. So I want that from you. And what about when you are in a bad mood? What should I be offering to you? That's the power of accommodation. That's the power to adjust. Every dog has its day. Do unto others as you would have them do unto you. Love thy neighbor as thyself. These are beautiful, powerful quotes. But what it means? No, give a day to each other. My mother is edgy. She is irritated. She is preoccupied. Something is worrying her. So I said, Mom, take your time off. Take time off. It's okay. I will make dinner. I'm going to. Do we say that to each other? Okay, leave it. It's all right. Just take a break. I'm going to do it for you. Do we do that? That's the power to accommodate. That's the power to adjust. Just like water has the ability to adjust its form according to the container, the vessel that water is put into. Just like when you see the rivers flowing and somebody throws a boulder, a huge rock into that river. Does the river stop flowing? Does it stop and complain and ask why, when, what, how, or say, I can't flow anymore? Because somebody needs to remove that boulder. Then only I can flow. No? The river knows it is the task of the river to flow. And it is a task for somebody to throw that boulder. So so you see, sometimes we say you need to stand in someone's shoe and see it the way they are seeing it. If you think about it, if you're in a room and you're in one corner of the room and somebody else is in another corner of the room, each one of you, wherever you're positioned in that room, your view of what's going on in the room will obviously be different. So based on my experience, I will be seeing things based on my perception, my attitude, my intention, my past experience, my weakness, my old habit. I will be seeing through the lens of all of that. And I will obviously not be seeing what you are seeing. So power to accommodate means you have to be able to see it from their angle. I often use this example. A child is stubborn. And you keep saying to the child, why are you so stubborn? You're so stubborn. Why don't you stop being so stubborn? But what you notice, the child gets more stubborn. And there's a simple explanation for that. Because the child recognizes that you are judging him based on his weakness. You're not seeing his goodness. And so criticism, being judgmental, finding fault, highlighting people's weakness, all of that is disempowerment, not empowerment. So the child says, okay, if you think I am stubborn, that's exactly what I will be. So instead of helping the child by distracting the child and talk about the good quality of the child, and when the child trusts you and feels comfortable with you, then you can bring to the child's attention, very gently, bring to the child's attention that aspect of his personality. Sometimes that child gets up and tidy up his room or her room, and you come in the room and you said, wow, you did such a good job. Why can't you do that every day? So we compliment with a damper. A compliment is a compliment. You cannot compliment somebody and at the same time highlight their weakness. So power to accommodate is acceptance. Last week I was sharing how each power is a combination of many virtues. So what's the virtue that needs to be applied if you want to develop the power to accommodate? One is acceptance. And the first prerequisite for developing a healthy and respectful and loving relationship with anyone, the first prerequisite, the first step is to accept them. See the state of our world today. Are we accepting each one? What do we talk about each other? When we listen to the news and the images and voices that we hear literally 24/7, are they value-based? Are they positive? Are they enhancing me? Are they talking about what's going right in the world? Or we're only telling or hearing or seeing or listening to what's going wrong in the world? Fortunately, we all have a remote and we can switch channels. So there's no excuse. But I just want to draw your attention. The images and voices that we allow to enter our mind, are they positive? Are they healthy? And if they're not, we have a choice. We can switch channel. We must not support that which is negative. We must support that which is positive. So when they have ratings, they will have ratings only of good programs and not negative ones. So we all have responsibility. So this is where I'm going to draw your attention to the second power, the power to cooperate. We are living in a world that something has to happen and happen very, very soon. Sooner than even we could think. We've got to bring changes. And each one of us have to contribute to that change. Each one of us. No one is without responsibility. True freedom comes with responsibility. There's no responsibility without freedom. I remember addressing the youth parliament in Aruba many, many years ago. I was invited back. I used to live in Aruba before coming to St. Martin. And so I was invited to go and meet the youth parliament. And we were in this setting of a roundtable discussion. And the topic was freedom, or of something relating to that. And I remember saying to all the participants, young people, I said, you want your freedom? And everyone was, of course, nodding their head. And they were pretty laid back. Their arm was on the table and they were looking very relaxed. Until I said to them, I said, you know, you want your freedom? I also like my freedom. But then I asked them, if you get your freedom in your own hand to wear what you want to wear, to go where you want to go, whether you want to go out at 12 in the night until 5 in the morning, whether you want to drive a car even though you are underage, if you get your freedom to do whatever you want, are you ready for the repercussions of that freedom? Meaning, you get your freedom, you do wear, dress, eat, do anything you want. Are you ready for the repercussion of those actions you perform? And it was so graphic. They all pull back from the table as if no. They're they're okay to talk about freedom, but don't talk about responsibility. So then I said to them, if you are responsible now, you can be free after, because you're not going to be caught into any scenario where your freedom will be taken away from you. Or you can have freedom now and then have to face the responsibility later. Which one would you want? Do you want freedom now and responsibility later, or responsibility now and ultimately freedom later? And so now we can say this one and that one, this politician, this government, this country, we can point our fingers watching the news and say who is right and who's wrong. But there are two things we should not do, and that is never take the law in your own hand and never judge anyone. Don't punish anyone nor judge anyone. But what we have to do is to give one single finger of cooperation. And how do we do that? Like we have a hand, it has 5 fingers. None of them have the same size, shape, even the same, so many difference in our 5 fingers. But only if one of the finger gets hurt, then we recognize that the functioning of this whole hand is dependent on this little finger. Or like you have a big television screen, but the remote is not working, or the on switch is not functioning okay. Then you understand the importance of that tiny on switch, a tiny power switch. Whole big screen, but a tiny power switch, if it is malfunctioning, it affects the functioning of the whole television. So what's the importance of that tiny power switch? In the same way, if we all check our own self, pause for a moment, shut off the news for a moment and ask myself, in what way can I contribute through my thoughts, through my attitude and my intention, through my vibrations, through my words, through my action, through my behavior, through my relationship? In what way can I make a difference in bringing positivity back into this atmosphere? And when I check and change, how long would it take the whole world to change? As long as it takes me to change. I'm going to stop here now